January 24th, 1961, 2:30 a.m. Over Goldsboro, North Carolina, a B-52 Stratofortress breaks apart in midair. Inside, two Mark 39 hydrogen bombs tumble toward the Earth. Each bomb carries a yield of 4 megatons, equivalent to 4 million tons of TNT. The first bomb deploys its parachute, drifting down intact. The second bomb breaks apart, its 6,000-pound high-explosive trigger detonating on impact, scattering plutonium across a field. But the nuclear core does not ignite. Later, investigators will discover that one of the bomb's 3 safety switches had already activated. Only a single low-voltage switch prevented a 4-megaton explosion. Had that switch failed, the fireball would have vaporized Goldsboro, and radioactive fallout would have blanketed the East Coast. The event remains classified for decades, buried under layers of secrecy. The B-52 was on a routine airborne alert mission, part of Operation Chrome Dome. The United States kept nuclear-armed bombers in the air 24/7 to ensure a retaliatory strike capability in case of a Soviet first strike. The aircraft, callsign Crest 7, had departed from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base in Goldsboro. On board were 8 crew members and 2 Mark 39 hydrogen bombs. The Mark 39 was a thermonuclear weapon with a yield 250 times the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. The flight was uneventful until the bomber began a scheduled refueling rendezvous. Suddenly, the aircraft experienced a catastrophic structural failure. The right wing collapsed, tearing the fuselage apart. The crew ejected, but only 5 survived. The bombs fell free, beginning their descent toward the farmland below. In the years before the Goldsboro incident, there had been numerous warnings about the safety of nuclear weapons. As early as 1958, a B-47 bomber accidentally dropped a nuclear weapon in South Carolina, detonating the high-explosive trigger, but not the nuclear core. The Atomic Energy Commission had expressed concerns about the one-point safety of weapons, the possibility that a single accidental detonation could trigger a nuclear yield. Yet the Mark 39 design relied on a series of electrical switches to prevent arming. According to declassified documents, the safety system had a known vulnerability. It used low-voltage components that could be easily bridged by a short circuit. Despite these warnings, the weapons remained in service. The culture of the Cold War demanded readiness over caution. The moment that made disaster inevitable was not a single decision, but a systemic failure. The B-52 broke apart due to a known structural flaw, a fatigue crack in the right wing. The Air Force had discovered similar cracks in other B-52s, but had not grounded the fleet. On the night of January 24th, the crack reached critical size. As the bomber maneuvered for refueling, the wings separated. The crew had no time to react. The bombs fell, and one of them began the sequence that would bring it within a hair's breadth of detonation. Later, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara would say that the bomb was only a single switch away from exploding. That switch, a low-voltage arming switch, was the only thing preventing a catastrophe that would have rewritten American history. What physically happened when the bombs hit the ground? The first bomb deployed its parachute and landed intact in a swamp. Its high-explosive lenses did not detonate, but the bomb's casing was breached. The second bomb, without a parachute, struck a field at high speed. The impact triggered the high-explosive trigger, which detonated, scattering pieces of the uranium-235 and plutonium core across the area. The nuclear chain reaction did not begin because the bomb's safety switches had not fully armed. However, the explosion created a crater 20 feet wide and spread radioactive material. A later investigation revealed that the bomb's arming sequence had progressed to the point where only one of the 3 safety switches remained: the low-voltage switch. If that switch had been triggered, either by the impact or by a short circuit, a 4-megaton explosion would have occurred. The immediate response was a cover-up. The Air Force quickly cordoned off the area, but initial personnel were not told they were dealing with nuclear weapons. First responders, including local firefighters and police, arrived at the scene without any radiation protection. According to declassified documents, some of these men were exposed to plutonium and uranium. The Air Force collected the debris over several days, but the crater and surrounding soil were contaminated. The missing uranium-235 component from one bomb was never fully recovered. It is believed to be buried deep in the swamp. The Pentagon initially denied that any nuclear explosion had been possible. It was not until 2013, when a declassified document revealed the single switch detail, that the full story became public. The cover-up lasted over 50 years. As the hours passed, the full horror became clear. The Air Force realized that a 4-megaton bomb had nearly detonated over American soil. The fireball would have destroyed everything within a 5-mile radius, and radioactive fallout would have spread across North Carolina, Virginia, and beyond. The winds that night were blowing toward Washington, D.C. A detonation could have killed hundreds of thousands, potentially triggering a full-scale nuclear war with the Soviet Union. The military immediately classified the incident as a broken arrow, a nuclear weapon accident. Teams of radiation experts were flown in from across the country. The search for the missing uranium component involved digging and surveying the swamp for months. But the public was told only that a B-52 had crashed. The true nature of the near catastrophe was hidden for decades. The human cost of the Goldsboro incident is still not fully understood. The 5 surviving crew members were treated for injuries, but not for radiation exposure. Local farmers and first responders were exposed to plutonium, a carcinogenic element that remains radioactive for tens of thousands of years. According to estimates, the contamination spread over several acres. In the years that followed, some residents reported higher rates of cancer, but no official study was ever conducted. The Air Force conducted a cleanup, but the swamp was not fully decontaminated. In 2013, a journalist discovered that the missing uranium component was still buried there. The Pentagon declined to excavate, citing the risk of disturbing the material. The people of Goldsboro may still be living with the consequences of a bomb that almost destroyed them, and the truth that was kept from them. The cover-up was systematic. The Air Force issued a press release stating that the crash involved no nuclear weapons. The bombs were described as dummy units. It was not until 1969 that the word broken arrow was declassified, and even then, details remained scarce. In 1994, the Department of Energy released a document confirming that a nuclear weapon had been partially armed upon impact, but it was the 2013 FOIA release that revealed the single switch detail. The officer who had investigated the crash, Lieutenant Colonel Jack Revell, later stated that the switch was all that stood between a 4-megaton explosion and a clean miss. The Pentagon never punished anyone for the near disaster. Instead, it redesigned the safety switches on nuclear weapons, but the Goldsboro incident remained a secret for over 50 years. The legacy of Goldsboro is a warning. The incident led to the development of more robust safety mechanisms, including the permissive action link system, which prevents arming without proper codes. But the incident also reveals the fragility of the nuclear arsenal. According to declassified documents, there have been at least 32 broken arrow worldwide. Many remain classified. The Goldsboro bomb almost detonated due to a single low-voltage switch. Today, the United States maintains thousands of nuclear weapons on alert. The question is not if another near miss will occur, but when. The story of Goldsboro reminds us that the margin between safety and catastrophe is often paper thin. Subscribe to Nuclear Disasters for more untold stories of the weapons that almost destroyed us.